Boom. There we go. One too high. I've done my chair too high. There we go. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the stream. Today we've got something very special that we've never done before. Yeah, it's something we've sort of been toying with for a while, and just sort of thought we've not got anything else planned, so let's do it. So what are we doing today? We are doing a mod, sort of TerraTech modded TerraTech sort of showcase, showing off some of the best mods that Street One. Is there a way to play that? Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted by chat. So yeah, so what for those that don't know, you can mod TerraTech. You can take the game and you can adapt it and you can change it and you can do all these really cool things that otherwise we wouldn't, as developers, be able to do. So there's a whole modding community out there that sort of take it upon themselves to do that, and they sort of support themselves, and yeah, it's super cool, super interesting stuff. Something that I've not really dabbled with before until recently. So today we're going to be looking into into sort of how that works and showing off a few of the best ones and the coolest ones. And yeah, so that's why we have with us James Flannery. I'm going to give you a big up. I'm going to big you up big time. Okay. You would have undoubtedly heard of the small indie game called Minecraft that sort of released a couple of years ago. James Flannery is Flan's mod creator. So yeah, James basically made Flan's mod, didn't you, James?
Yep.
Cool.
It was it's a mod that came from planes. So I started out making planes, made tanks, made guns. All a little bit inappropriate for Minecraft.
Yeah.
But basically made it a bit more modern. Added some like team deathmatch stuff, made it a bit like Call of Duty or Battlefield. Packaged that all together into a big mod.
There you go. So I'm sure those that would have seen Flan's mod, or sorry, those that you were really into Minecraft would have seen Flan's mod at some point. Also, you may be wondering, I won this today. This is what I got. It's the best Christmas jumper 2018 full payload. I won that because of this beauty. Yeah, because it's his birthday. Anyway, that's just in case anyone was wondering. So, what are we doing today? We've basically got a modded version of TerraTech running. We're going to jump into it. We're going to show off some of the cooler smaller mods. James is going to explain what they do, why they do it, and also, obviously, if you don't know, James is a coder here at Payload, so he knows better than anyone, probably one of the biggest experts in this sort of area that we could actually have ever. So yeah, so we're going to go through, and James is going to kind of talk about what they do, why they do it, pick them apart a little bit. We're not going to be too mean, but we're going to we're going to tell it how it is.
We might break some things.
We're going to break a lot of things. Also, because this is partly the reason why we didn't want to stream it before, or we were sort of a bit apprehensive about streaming, is the game will crash. There's no question about it. TerraTech is, you're gonna get the error message, and it's gonna have to load up. But don't worry, we'll fluff that out with some witty banter. Yeah. James went to Oxford as well, so he's full of the witty banter.
Not really.
Yeah. So yeah. So let's. Is there anything else we need to cover off? Not really.
Well, mainly just take questions, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have got questions, get them in chat. And we'll do our best to answer them. I mean, one of the biggest things that I think we're going to get asked, so I'm just going to sort of jump right into it, is I think why can't these mods be put in TerraTech? Why, things like, so there's a water, for example, there's a water mod that I think Whitepaw made that simulates like a plane of water, and it has its own physics and it has buoyancy, and it looks fantastic as a mod. It's absolutely brilliant. Genuinely surprised by that. So we will probably get asked, well, why can't we just add water if you just take that mod and make it, just add it to the game? Well, I know that's probably not what you guys would ask. So we're going to try and sort of leverage the good things with sort of the real world sort of TerraTech implications and actually and what they mean for the game, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think we can talk a bit about how we get things into the game.
Yeah.
So just explain how like our process is slightly different to the modding process.
Sure. And that's really important. Like, there's two very different ways of doing things. So again, that's why absolutely James is the best person to have for this, because he knows better than anyone. So let's
show the
just
mods.
show the mods.
Jamie.
No, fair enough. Which one are we on? We're on this one.
That's a black screen.
It won't be in a second.
Okay.
I hope. Please. There he is. Phew. Okay, so let's just load into a new game.
Man, this looks a lot like normal TerraTech.
It does. The mods are running, right?
Yes, they are running.
There should be a there was a water
I
tank
think we
before.
set the level quite low.
Cool. Right. Well, let's jump into a game of. We'll enable them later if we have to. There's some other. There's some texts that have been submitted as well.
Oh yes.
So we'll go through the sort of showcase it off a little. But basically, I'm just going to give the reins over to James now, and we're going to go through. You can minimise Slack if you just.
So I've got I think quite a few things installed. I might go over to the mod manager maybe in a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all sorts of things being added, including this bacon strip, which I don't really approve of as a vegan. But you know,
vegan. It could be vegan bacon.
The joy of mods is that you can mix and match and choose what stuff you want to put in your game. So if you want to have a whole lot of meat blocks, you can add that to your game. I'm not entirely sure why. I think this might be a meme.
Bloody memes. Not enough attach points either. I'm just going to say that now.
I like that because it's got the wiggle up and down. And you've got the alternate attachments.
Yeah, okay.
It works quite nicely.
Okay.
So I'm going to have a quick look through. What should we play with first? Start off simple. There's a rainbow block, or colour block, which is looks like just a plain white block. Just put it on there. But you can change the colour with this fancy little slider.
So you've got your RGB values.
Yeah. So it's very sort of I don't know what the word is. It's not sort of nice and tidy. Like if we put something like this in the game, we want to have like a colour wheel so you can pick it a bit more visually rather than alternating red, green, blue values. It works, but there's almost sort of a different way we would do it to make it sort of sleeker. So it's quite nice. You can really sort of customise your blocks. I would like a copy paste as well. That would be really handy.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, you can have like a slowly changing rainbow or something. Gives you just more options than we've got here. Procedural blocks are interesting. Can I just pop into a few mods?
Do it.
Right.
Yeah, no, go crazy.
So procedural blocks are these very standard looking blocks.
But they are not.
Slopes with some interesting lighting on. Cylinders. So you've got all these different shapes. Have we got the battle music on? Yes. We're fighting the mods.
So this, just quickly, the game is going to crash when we mess around with these, so just be prepared.
I think I know what the crash is. So
right.
I think if you attach this to a tech and then pull it off, it seems to crash. So I'm going to not do that. But this looks like a normal cylinder. I mean, we got the GSO pipes and things. The geocob pipes.
We are missing a mod. The Terra one that you didn't know what it did.
Oh, that upgrades all
the GUI mod.
So it replaces these sort of Unity basic UIs with nice ones.
Yes.
Okay.
Should we do that?
If we crash.
Actually,
you know what? I'll attach this block. We'll crash probably.
And then we'll show you
the mod manager.
That's
brilliant. So
cool.
These blocks, you can right click them while they're on the floor. If you right click them on the tech, they don't work. I'm not entirely sure. Oh no, that makes sense because you'll see in a second. I can right click and I can change the size. So I can type in not 20. No, okay, we're going for 20, right. You can change the size in the X, Y, and Z directions. So suddenly I've got a 2 by 1 by 1 block. Y is more fun, I can make that 60. No. So yeah, it's got slight problems in it, it jumps all over the place. There we go, I've made a 6 by 2 by 1 cylinder, and you can do this with all the blocks, so you can make some weird shapes, you can sort of just shove them into corners that you wouldn't otherwise have done. So you can make all sorts of shapes and stick together. Now if I put that on there, when I was testing this earlier, as soon as I pulled it off, it became
ta-da!
So yes, we get lots of crashes. But, so that's probably just that mod was made with the previous version, and we're playing the latest unstable, so it's not quite, isn't quite working. Something has changed, and so the code it was calling is now not working. How do I get the mod manager? No, it's not that.
You can go to that. Maybe down.
There we go. Right, so this is the mod manager. I think made by Whitepool.
Whitepool, did you make the mod? Yeah, I think you are more responsible.
Let's download that to tidy it up a bit. So there's a lot of things in there. So this is the mod manager. You just open it up. You download it, open it up, point it to your directory where you've installed TerraTech, which is normally just Steam apps /TerraTech. and then it's quite nice. You just pick which mods you want. I think there's some sort of, I'm not entirely sure how it works, but there's some way in which somebody who makes a mod can list their mod with this mod manager and it automatically shows up. It's nice and quick and easy. You can just click which ones you want. Say if I want advanced building. I don't actually know what that does, so I might just leave it.
Yeah.
We've picked out a few that look quite fun. There isn't actually a play button, so you have to go back to Steam and run it. But yeah, you just select which mods you want, click download, and then they're in. And then you boot up the game, and next time you boot it, they'll be there. So, now we wait for the game to move. Witty banter, go.
Witty banter. I can't do it on the spot. I'm not clever enough.
Should we answer some questions?
Yes.
Some questions.
Does TerraTech on Steam work on Linux or no? Linux.
Linux. Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
We do support that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Just switch it back to that.
Oh yes.
The game does not have official mod support as of now. This is all unofficial, yeah. So this is all.
Yeah, that mod manager you just saw was not made by us. That was made by Whitepaw. So we don't officially support mods, but we encourage it. We have a sub forum on the forums dedicated to sharing mods and stuff. It's always nice to have a modding community.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we don't officially support it yet. That is something that's been considered, and it does come up sort of quite often in company meetings. Like I can't confirm anything because we don't know what's going to happen. But it's something. There's a fair few people in the office who are keen, myself definitely included, because I'm an ex-modder, and it definitely keeps coming up, but we just don't know when.
Yeah. And this is basically the crux of the issue. Really, is we've got so many different priorities right now, so many different things to work on, and this is the thing we say a lot, and I'm sure you guys are bored of us saying it because I'm sure bored of saying it, but that looks awesome.
This is a banana gun. I don't know why, but we've got one.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff to work on basically, and where that kind of where that job or that sort of thing sits within our huge list of priorities is a tough one because come on, there we go. Because there's so much stuff to do, and there's so many different things that we would love to work on, that we know you guys would love us to work on. So
we have to choose. We have to prioritize everything. Yeah. So all the things we mentioned in the last update, for example, all those entire new corporation with all those new blocks, control schemas, tech loader. We've been doing all these things in parallel, and there's only so much time.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to look at the first-person view next because that's really cool.
Yes.
I really enjoy that one.
It's probably one of your favourites.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a fairly simple concept, and so it works quite well.
Sure.
There's not too many bugs with it. So you just press R, and you're in. That's it. And the camera sort of pings nice smoothly glides out. So if I can remember how to play with this plane. Sorry, I haven't actually played that much since the control schemes went in. Someone else was working on that in the office. So let's go. There we go.
Ooh. Okay, this is cool.
Yeah, I very much like this. You can sort of still build while in first person, which is a bit weird. You might want to turn that off. So yeah, you can press R mid-flight to get back out.
It's a pretty smooth transition from going from that view out.
Or just tap R. I don't know.
And then you do it again and it goes in. Dude, that's super slick.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That is cool. So do you know much about how it's doing that? Can you?
So I would say it's probably we've added a new block, and it will listen for the key for the R. When you press R and sort of just go straight into the. I don't want to say the wrong thing because I know Whitepaw is listening. Is this by Whitepaw?
Yeah.
You can press Control R to reset orientation. That's handy. So it will so once you start picking around inside the code, you can sort of fiddle with a lot of different things. So we'll have somewhere in the code a whole load of code all about the camera positioning. So you can just say set camera to this position, or I imagine it sort of attaches the camera as a game object to this plane. So you can set where the camera is, and then our code will sort of follow it along. So yeah, like I say, it's one of the easier things, because I think you can just sort of say camera, stick to that block, and then it just sticks.
Oh no! There
we go.
Cool.
And there's all sorts of different ones in different corporations, different sizes. Side cockpit. I think I just changed the orientation that you start on in each of those. Very nice. So yeah, should we move on to the next thing?
Well, before we do, I think it's. I don't know how safe it is to say this, but of all the mods that we're going to show off today, I'd say that's probably the most likely to sort of have some version in game.
Yes.
In terms of its actual design philosophy, like you're kind of taking it's its own block, and it does something kind of cool and a bit different. Yeah. But also its implications, like it's a feasible thing that could happen.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going too far when I say that.
So yeah, this is probably a good example, because this is quite a simple concept. It can go in quite easily. We could do this quite easily, but we have to, like with anything we do, we have to go through planning and stuff.
Yeah.
So we have to work out whether we want this, like Russ, our boss, whether he wants it, and mainly whether the community wants it.
Yeah.
We're sort of feeding in from all these different things, make sure everybody's on the same page. So we've got to like judge all the different sections of the community. So like the modding community want this sort of stuff. They've seen this stuff being added to the game. They want it in the main game. We've got the sort of general wider user base. Sort of, there's a lot of players who just play a little bit. They don't even come on the forums. So we need to make sure that. Oh, you want to keep playing? Yeah. So we want to make sure that when a first-time user finds a camera block in a chest, they can just
go away,
plonk it on their tech, and it's obvious. So, like for example, with this mod, the only sort of problem with this is that we'd have to give them a prompt saying press R now to switch, without telling them that, like the build beam prompt at the bottom saying press B when your tech goes upside down. We need to say when they attach a block. So it's not quite where we want it if we wanted to release it properly. So there's like a few more things we need to do, such as putting in the prompts. But yeah, we need to plan it. So we need to sort of go to a company meeting, and somebody needs to bring it up, and we say, right, community wants this, and sort of we want to add this. This has been wanted for a long time. Also considerations about like whether it's quite simple. This one's quite simple to add, but something like co-op multiplayer, it's quite a big one. Where
so it's not quite a big one; it's the biggest one.
The biggest one. So I just jumped from like
sure.
It's what I'm working on at the moment. So
there you go. So proof that we are
working on lots of different things. So we could have just said. Take the deathmatch mode and add all the blocks, and just have said off you go. But there's quite a few bugs in the block adding and removing already. So we want to take some time to actually refactor it. So that's sort of pull the code apart and put it together a bit more nicely. Because we sort of there's a bit of a time constraint on getting the mod deathmatch in. So we had to sort of cut some corners. Now we're trying to do it properly. So we're stepping back, doing a bit more forward thinking. So sort of setting up the code. Ooh, water.
Hey, nice transition. Carry on.
Yeah, we're setting up the code so it's more. It's nice for us to work with in the future, and we can sort of lead on to bigger multiplayer projects later.
Ooh, that's a cool effect.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Ooh.
Oh, okay.
So what was I saying? I think I've got sidetracked. How do I get onto campaign multiplayer? Co-multiplayer?
Resources. What it takes to make that sort of stuff and implement it. The design process.
Design process, yes. So yeah, we decided that needed some work, so we sort of said we'll do it. We'll move it to a later milestone.
Sure.
Yeah, move it to a later milestone. Do some refactor work now. So I've just been working on that as part of the team. Like that's my thing. That's my bit. So yeah, we always need to like decide whether we sort of hold off on a task or do it straight away. We need to find a slot for it basically. Find out which update it's going to go into. We plan about 6 weeks ahead. So we always make sure we know what we're doing as we're working through one thing. We plan the next sort of 6 weeks, so we know like what we never sort of end up finishing a load of work and going, oh wait, what do we do now? We haven't planned anything. So we're always sort of planning ahead, but it does mean that everything takes quite a while to get in. So
that in essence is the nature of is sort of one of the lesser known, well, not lesser known, but one of the problems. But like, What am I trying to say here, James? It's just it's a thing that we have that happens in game development, right?
Yeah.
When you're a big company, a big organisation, when you've got a team of designers, an art team, a big a code of teamers,
team of coders.
Team of coders. That is a tongue twister. When you got and you've got all these cogs are turning, these processes have to be in place in order for us to make a game that we want to make, and it just doesn't become this sort of echo chamber of noise and sort of stuff. So it's not ideal, but there's literally no other way for us any sort of team to operate. Whereas, and this is the beauty of the modding community, is that you guys don't have those constraints. You can take the game that we've made and just do literally whatever you want to it. Whatever the realms of that, whatever the realms of possibility are, you can go with it. So things like this first person view, I'm genuinely like, this is incredible. I'm having a great time just flying around. And that was just off the back of an idea that someone had, and someone had the ability to do that. So, and at the time, the resources to do that. Whereas, so to take like James was saying, the real world example of co-op creative, that's a vast undertaking, and we're doing it. I suppose a better one would be something like anti-gravity.
Yes.
Which is this whole new feature, this whole new cool thing that we've done. That in essence still took us 4 or 5 months to really implement.
From initial we want to do this, to getting it planned and then getting it developed and tested and into an unstable and then a stable. It takes a long time.
Yeah. So there. Oh no, I need to get better at flying. But that's great. I'm really enjoying that a lot. A lot. Cool. So what have we missed? Bitmage78. I also noticed you did a massive subscription. Thanks for the sub. We appreciate it. Right, cool. Well, that was the first person view. I was digging that. James, you take it.
Something else.
Do it.
To look at.
Carry on. just reminding people.
Yeah. It's more first person view things. I found this earlier. I'm not sure. Did we add this? I don't know who added that, but I found it and I hadn't seen it before.
We may have done. Yeah, we must have done. That's Jason's art style.
Look, it's Christmas now.
Sure.
Right. Yes. So another thing we could talk about is official mod support.
Yes.
That's something we'd love to have at some point. So I've been playing a few of these this afternoon. I've been thinking there's some nice things that would be great to have, sort of like an extra category for modded, which just only appears if there's blocks that are in that category.
Sure.
So as soon as you start modding, then an extra category pops up and it's got all the modded blocks in it. Just because I didn't know where any of this stuff was, and I was just looking through, seeing, trying to find everything.
No, that makes sense.
So, should we try and modify this plane a bit?
Do it.
Oh, that was pulled the cap off. So good start. I've just wrecked it. What have we put? Some pistons in here. So pistons are quite fun. I've been enjoying playing with pistons. So what I have made here is the basic plane, but now it can do this and become longer.
The longer plane.
We've got a few texts that we can show off from the community because that's not particularly impressive compared to what they've done.
Sure.
So yeah, you're just flying along and suddenly your plane becomes longer.
Which makes it, would that affect the physics?
Oh yeah, so this is just, it's quite nice that sort of all of our wings are coded, so they just do their own thing. So
they're independent.
Yeah, each wing is independent. So if you turn your wing, so if I were to detach my wing and turn it, whoop, not mid-flight. If I were to detach my wing and turn it around, no. If I meant to make it face the other way, then it would do something different.
Okay.
Yeah. But the exact same, because it's just the orientation of this object, it doesn't really care whether it's attached. It means that these sort of swivels, when they rotate, swivels and pistons, when they start rotating, they will actually change the physical properties of these wings. I think if I do beam. Okay.
Wow.
Let's go with that. So I've put both these wings on swivels. So now when I press left and right arrow keys, they should spin. Whoa, okay. We might have an example of this done better, but
I don't know. That can you get better than that? That was pretty cool. No propeller.
So.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you do some funky things.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Try and get some height, get away from the ground, and then we can. So you take off, and then twist. Nope. Okay. It needs
So
some
the
work.
principle's there, right?
So you
Yeah.
can actually affect your physics in new and interesting ways that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
Which is and there's no other blocks that do that currently in vanilla.
The only rotating block we have is the anchor, but that's attached to the ground.
Yeah.
So
for a reason.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get the idea.
Cool.
I might take those off so I can actually fly.
Also, apparently the third piston isn't activating because
yes.
because of reasons.
Yes. So I think if you ever make a loop, so this piston here can't push because it would push that block away, but these wings are attached to both blocks at the same time, so it can't push them apart. So it's nicely programmed. It works well.
Nicely programmed. Activate pistons.
What?
So GP makes it a little bit more like you could go from being quite agile and quite to then just being a bit more stable.
Probably if you designed it
fly.
well. I've just stuck something at random and it's doing something. I don't know why everything's exploding a bit. Oh, that's the gun on the cab shooting because I'm in space. Yeah.
Oh yes.
So also all of these
Nice
pistons and swivels have these little menus. Hey, got the Nutella UI.
There you go.
Nutella. So you can change which key you want for each piston. You can set. Oh my gosh! Okay, so there's a lot of options. So actually, if I get out, so what's one of the blocks we've made recently that have all these options on it? The switches were quite good. So we've added a few things with radial menus recently. Any motion engines like that? No. We could do what's it called? One of these. So we've got all these radial menus, and that's just kind of the way we do menu interfaces. So like, if we were to ever implement something like that, it's not a major thing, but we'd have to make sure this is a bit more user friendly. So this is all good having all this information, but you have to sort of design these features and decide like what exactly does a user want to see. And this is not just like a power user who's installed a mod. When you're doing things officially, you're trying to make sure it's open to everyone. So if somebody finds this block in a chest, they aren't just spammed with all this information. So they don't want this sort of vector saying 0.0, 0.0, minus 4.0. That's not information we want to display.
Yeah.
It's just something we have to consider. Our design is, we have to think about a lot more people. When you're making a mod, you're making it for people who install mods who are going to be quite advanced users generally, or more advanced than average. When we're making stuff, we're making it for everyone, so you can just pick up and play. Pick up and play is quite a very important part of TerraTech. Is just you should be able to stick blocks together and just go with them. We're kind of moving into a bit more advanced stuff with Better Future, because there's a lot of options with different sort of flight styles and stuff.
And that's the logical progression as well, I think. This is more of a design thing. Like, you've got GSO, which are the absolute fundamentals. They do everything for everyone. They're the everyman corp. And GeoCorp teaches you more about whatever it is GeoCorp do. Mining, yeah. And
heavy harvesting.
Yeah. Then, obviously, Venture are all about flying and speed. And then Hawkeye are about combat. And then Better Future is just that advancement, right? That sort of next level, like, thing. But anyway, that's just an interesting sort of aspect. So if you really want to get in depth sort of TerraTech, that's what you go to. So
Masakari has just said that the pistons don't move attachment points, which is very, very correct. So pistons look great and can do some fun things, but we can't. There's no way we could have this in the game officially as they are, because if I hold space and start, if I get a block out, this is a really bad example because I've got all this stuff attached. So if I grab a block, and you'll see I can just attach it and detach it wherever I want. Put the block on there, put it off. But then once I start moving things around with pistons, it's just moving the objects, it's not moving the attachment points. So I attach a block here and it ends up there. And I pull it off and then put it back. So this attachment point refers to this block, and things get a bit more confusing. And we would basically, pistons are very hard. We're probably not going to add them because you either need to do some very complicated stuff with moving blocks through the grid, and you can get all sorts of edge cases and things broken that way. You also have a physics object that's changing size, and we kind of assume that physics objects stay the same size, which for various technical reasons it makes the game less predictable. If you change a physics object at runtime, things start going a bit wrong. If you've ever played Grand Theft Auto 5, actually that's not well, if you play Grand Theft Auto 5 and you play with the tank, you'll realise that as soon as you bump it into the turret into something, it's like an infinitely powerful physics joint, so you can just start flipping it around and the tank will just flip upside down and do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Rather than just breaking off.
Yeah, so I mean, I think if you can do this a bit with these, if you get swivels and you can just turn them through the ground and you can just use them to make infinite forces because they just move, they're not two separate physics pieces. So to get this working properly, we'd have to have two separate physics objects that move together, and Unity physics is not great in terms of sort of very careful, precise interactions. It's good for things bumping into other things. It's not good for multiple things twisting together and stuff. They often fall apart. Like we've seen like multi-tech builds. We've got the rotors and stuff. They fall apart quite often, just because Unity physics doesn't sort of constrain them properly. It's a very hard problem in terms of sort of programming, and Unity haven't quite figured it out, so we can't really.
But wait, they just put out a new update. Did it not fix everything?
I don't know. We can
I don't think it did.
It's unlikely. I think all physics systems are sort of tricky in some way. But yeah, there's sort of good reasons why. Like there's a difference between sort of this kind of thing that works functionally, and you can sort of play it as a power user, and stuff that's just sort of makes sense to a regular user.
Sure.
And it's sort of suitable for everyone.
Okay.
So, should we find another mod?
Yeah.
Or maybe we should talk about rain and water. We've been flying around and sort of looking at
them.
I've destroyed my tech. So, rain's quite nice. I think rain is something we could add in a very similar way quite easily. It's again, like everything we do, we have to sort of plan and make sure we're doing it at the right time. Got the right people on it. What's going on there? That's very nice. That's a bit buggy. There we go. Cool. So, I like the rain. I like how it. I think it just it finds the first thing it can to hit the rain splash against, because it splashes off your tech sometimes, even when you're flying in the air. Just kind of, you see a little splash occasionally. So, the rain's quite nice. We can probably add rain quite easily, but we need to sort of make sure we've got the rain we want. We want to think about like whether we want to have sort of clouds and rain clouds moving around, and whether it will affect anything. So our day-night cycle doesn't really do much, but if we had sort of certain text only spawned at night or certain text only spawned in rain, that might be quite interesting.
Sure.
But we need to like make sure we've thought about everything we can do with rain.
So this is a really good point. It's a really good example of something that, in essence, is super simple. I don't know. It's super simple, and actually, for all intents and purposes, would be kind of fitting for TerraTech. Having different weather cycles and stuff. But actually, when you look at the actual real world implications of this, and actually how it affects TerraTech, the game, and us as a team, like James said, you've got to look at just having rain is fine, but if it's raining and the sun's out, that's a huge continuity thing.
Rainbows.
And then then you've got to look at like James, rainbows, all these aspects. It's not just a case of okay, James, go and do it. We then have to sit down with. It sounds like we're making excuses. We're not trying to sit here and be like, yeah, these are great, but.
So I think the thing is, we can't just we can, but we wouldn't just throw in rain and just call it a day. We probably want to do a weather update. So as part of one of our updates, we'll add weather and we'll add rain and we'll add water and all that stuff at the same time. Sort of make sure we've fully sorted it out. Make sure it's a fully featured thing.
Yeah.
Water's probably more of an interesting one because if we look at it currently, it is just layered on top of everything else. It appears on grass, it appears on deserts, it appears anywhere. The trees are halfway through it. It's like, it works and it's quite fun to play around in. You can sort of drive your boats across it, but it isn't quite the sort of sleek solution we'd want. So we need to sit down and talk about it. So there'll be various options on the table, like sort of doing something like this with a varying water level, but would that sort of kill trees as it rose, and sort of we have to work out how that would interact with everything in the world that's already there. What if you've built a tech in lowlands and then it starts raining and it starts filling up? Should we destroy that tech or break its anchor or something? There are other things we could do which might be quite nice, like having a ocean biome, and then we can sort of, I think that would be sort of almost the proper way to do it, is to have these areas that are built to be water. So it's rather than overlaying water on other terrain that's just sort of, it doesn't necessarily always fit, and sometimes has these little patches that sort of, I can't point. I'm just gonna head towards it. This little patch here, like, we can make sure there's like an actual, like, you come up to an edge and you see a distinct change in the terrain, and suddenly everything goes a bit blue, I don't know, or sort of rocky around the edges, and then you see it dips away into the water, and then you think, right.
Like a beach.
Yeah, a beach biome, and then you go into an ocean biome, and you can sort of see, like, you can see a visual change that indicates that this is water here, and sort of you can plan and build your boat techs around it.
So what is essentially quite a small thing, then becomes, you're involving multiple different teams, multiple different team members, and it becomes, just by nature of what it is and what it means to TerraTech, it just becomes a bigger thing. So ultimately, it's fun. It's fantastic. It does look great.
It's really cool. Water is something we'd like to have, but we can't just bodge it in across the map, because it will break existing saves, and like, you don't want to load into your old save and have the water halfway up the mountain. I think there's an assumption when you're playing mods, you like accept that sometimes you'll break saves, and you always back up your saves first, so you know that it's always going to be safe. We don't want to break any. So that's another thing. We never want to break up people's saves. We never want to put anything in that we can't revert. Well, we do put things in we can't revert, but we don't want to sort of put something in that's wrong. So if we suddenly say there's water everywhere, and it's probably not the best example, but like, a good example is we can't really change the terrain generation. So if we wanted to add ocean biomes, we can't really do that without some sort of careful planning to say, like, old worlds don't have oceans, new worlds do, and explain to the players that because you made your world ages ago, it doesn't have oceans, that sort of thing. Because we can't sort of, they've already generated a world, and we have to keep generating the same world every time they load it. So we need to sort of always consider things like that, like old saves, new saves, whether it sets us up to make things easier for us in the future. We never want to sort of dig ourselves into a corner where we've made a feature for the game, and then that locks down things in future. So there's a lot of things to consider.
So many things.
Are there any more mods we've got installed to have a look at?
XMD is asking, did we showcase the paint tool and the pixel art loader? I don't think we did.
I don't think so. Just check if we've got any more blocks, because I think we might be done with those. There's a variety of business. I do like the there's some good different styles of blocks. They'll fit in with the corporations quite well. I think we're done for blocks. So pixel, I assume this is something to do with the color block. If we get a brief explanation, that'd be amazing. So there's a few different mods that have options and sort of settings windows, but they're on various keys like dot and hash and at, and I can't remember exactly where each one is. That's rain settings. So, don't want that. This is...
While James messes around with that, there's also another big factor that we need to sort of think about or involve, that has a big influence on all these sort of decisions. Is it viable for console as well?
Oh yes.
It's really easy to forget that actually this is just on PC, so you've got a lot of variety. You can do pretty much whatever you like on PC, right? There's absolutely no guarantee, and it's almost 9 times out of 10 it won't translate over well to the console version. So all these menus, all these radials, all these sort of extra features are another button, they're another keybind, You know, they're another thing to click, which in console on Xbox and PlayStation 4, it's already taking what is quite a busy sort of UI, quite a busy experience, and it's just making it a load more complicated. So to add that to the mix of everything as well, like, yeah.
Yeah, I think also it's things like the rain mod settings. That's so you can sort of, as a mod user, you can just sort of choose what you want, whether you want it to rain or not, and stuff like that. We'd have to make decisions about how to balance that and say, right, this is what you're having, because we decide how the game works. And so we'd have to sort of set it up and choose when rain happens and stuff like that.
Okay, family, I've no idea. There's a crash game button.
We can press it. We can press it to finish the stream.
Yeah, we will. With the crash game mod.
I don't know why that's there. Numpad 0. There we go. So, what are we doing? Control pixel loader. Oh. Can we load? Wait. What? Brush. Pick color from block. Oh, okay. So, that's okay. So yeah, I was asking about sort of copy pasting colors across. So this is the block painter. That's pretty cool. Keypad 1. Oh wait. Oh, this is the paint button, I guess. So K to paint. Yes. Why have I got a green block?
That's clever.
So if I change that to be yellow, I can then pick yellow and press K to paint it on yellow. So you can paint things. It's quite nice.
So also, this is my own personal thing. These are so cool, right? These are like, if we could take TerraTech and do, you know, as modders or as individual people that play TerraTech ourselves, what we would like to do with the game. And like, as a player, I watch it and I'm like, yes, this is amazing. And we like that empowerment. We like that the modders and the modding community, people can take their idea and they can do with it what they like. We don't want to kind of take that away from it. And I kind of feel like if you've made one of the blocks already, I think. Or is that meant to be?
No, I think that's
meant to be.
Yeah,
cool. This is whiteboards. There are some instructions with this. Yeah, and I kind of feel like this is it. Nice.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That uses pistons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He uses the Better Future stuff. That looks sick.
Where are the pistons? Oh, they're behind the bumpers. Got it. That is very cool.
Yeah, and I think like modding, it's modding. Like it is what it is. It's your own pastime. It's awesome. No, that looks cool. Like really cool.
Should we have to go with some of these?
Sure.
We probably should look up instructions.
Yeah, let's get them up. Did I send these to you? So this is from Masakari, I believe. James. Where are you? There you go. So this says 1 and 4 are lift controls, Z and C are hover turning, F and V are, what was that word? Nacelle pitch. Left and right arrows are for the tail position, W and S are pitch, A and D are yaw, Q and E are roll, left control for the boosters. Takes a bit to get the hang of. Also trying to press 2 or 3 as for some reason activates the Z throttle, which will mess with the Y lift throttle. Seems to be a mod related. Okay, cool. Did you get any of that?
I've got a general idea of what's going on. I think we need to... Whoop! Maybe not that. Okay, so... I'm just trying to work out. So I found, was it Z and C? Do that. That tree? Nope.
Gee, I might
Not that tree. Just go.
It's quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Because we seem to have gone on to some funky music.
Okay. Can I see the instructions again?
Sure.
Q and E a roll. Okay.
So
there's a lot going on.
1 and 4 are lift.
Okay, so we've got a combination of the new control schemas stuff and pistons, I think, or swivels. This is. They don't seem to do anything for me.
No.
I'm not really sure about that. We can press 2 and 3. It says don't press 2 and 3. I'm tempted. I haven't managed to take it off yet. So the number keys aren't working for me. I did press 2 and 3. Did nothing.
Is it the control scheme?
Possibly. Oh, maybe they've got their things set up differently to us.
Possibly.
Axis. I don't know. Let's just try. I can skid. Maybe is it meant to be? Is it meant to fly or is it meant to skid?
I'm pretty sure it's meant to fly.
Yeah. It's got sort of. Oh no. Shift. Okay. Shift. Shift initiates those, and then.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, we can turn like that. So. Okay. Right. So yes, we can use the swivels to turn left and right by sort of swiveling our big sort of booster packs in opposite directions. And
can you put them at the same time?
I'm just going to work that out. I think F and V does that. Yes, so we can go forwards or full back. Oof, that's quite nice. And then we can even sort of flip them while that is very nice. Flip them while they're in their alternate position.
That looks so good.
So turn them back, and we're just sort of going up again.
We just didn't. We're just going up instantly.
We are just going very, very up.
Cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. So yeah, this is sort of very, very cool in terms of power user advanced features. It's probably very, very complicated to set up. I mean, it was complicated enough for us just to drive it.
Sure.
So many buttons going on, but that's really cool. I love that. So we put those back. There we go. I guess we'll come down at some point. You need an altimeter on this. There we go.
That tail position affects performance. Oh. Cool. So that's a real good that's a really good showcase of swivels. Just swivels, no pistons on that one.
Yeah.
But like the really cool stuff that you can do with that, right?
Yeah. I'll try to turn those ones. Right arrow, left arrow. Ooh, that does something, I guess.
So with that, shift it up.
Shift to go up, and then do that. I think that's just for looks, really. I don't know.
Apparently affects performance.
Maybe it just feels like it's going faster. It looks cool. So, let's lift off and go forwards. I like this tech a lot.
Yes.
So, right.
Lots of gyros going on. Lots of.
Do you want to go with the next tech?
Yeah. I think this could be the last one.
Yes.
This is actually Whitehall's actual tech. I believe, is it?
I
I
think
could
so.
be
I think
wrong.
we need some enemies for this one. I think this is the one with the turret that locks on using swivels. So I think the swivels can sort of point themselves at enemies.
Got ya.
Didn't make it.
Do I need to? Oh, there's no. Okay. Oh, because it swivels on the swivel. Right, let's go find these guys.
So this has balancing issues this bit because these big heavy turrets are very, very overpowered, but their one drawback is they can't turn. So
To have them turning.
to have this in the actual game, we'd have to have some quite serious talks about balance with this stuff because we do balance some things based on their ability to move. We use the grid as a balancing tool sometimes, so we have to reconsider anything that's sort of been balanced based on that. It could just be that we make swivels very expensive and then players don't get to experience them. So
Cool.
that's very cool.
Super cool. But that it does feel very like, yeah, I feel very strong right now.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, there's no bad guys around. That's bad timing. No one. Everyone's too scared of us. Cool. How long have we got? 10 minutes. Any more questions about mods, guys? Not that we're the best ones to ask them because we've got Microphone chat. I think it'd be good for you to just go over your experience of modding Flans mod and modding Minecraft and that whole thing.
Idea.
So like just the whole kind of process, like firstly kind of what made you get into it, but then
So Minecraft's
whole
quite
lot of
addictive, as a lot of you might know. I played quite a lot of Minecraft. I think it was sort of early beta days. And
just getting in frame.
Cool. Yeah, I played a lot and eventually started playing with some mods after a while when I got bored of the base game. Well, finished a playthrough of the base game and wanted to get some more stuff in. And eventually I thought, well, I can make my own mods, and started working on them. I wanted to make a space mod, and then started with like a small flying vehicle. Then the planes got quite popular, so I just basically went with that. Yeah, so one of the nice things about modding is you can just, if you have an idea, you can just make it.
Yep.
And you just throw it out there into the community and see if people like it, and if they don't, they just uninstall it. Which is it's kind of how we differ from like how we make the game now. Is sort of we have to consider like anything we put in is mandatory for everyone. Once it's unstable, less so, but once everything goes into stable, it's in, and everybody has to play with it. They might just not want to play with that block, and they might just put it back in their inventory, but it's in the game for everyone. With a mod, you sort of like, you're offering up something, and then you're basically offering up a prototype, and then you sort of develop it, and people like it or they don't like it. I should probably talk about some of the things that I did with Minecraft with my mod, like became part of the real game, because it does happen, and it was quite slow compared to the stuff I was doing. So I was kicking out lots of stuff. I was spending a lot of time, university holidays and stuff, sort of just working through making more stuff, just making stuff. I ended up making quite a lot of things, and I was doing it much faster than Minecraft was adding them. But of course, they have the same problem. They're a big team. They have to think about a lot of different factors when they're making stuff. So there are a few things that I wanted to do, and Minecraft haven't really thought about yet. So dual wielding was one of them. So you have two pistols, you can have one in each hand. And Minecraft didn't support this, so I had to come up with a way to do it myself. So I implemented my own system, and I sort of worked around what they had, and made my own layer on top that sort of said, if you're holding a single-handed gun, you can also I added some controls, so you can sort of hold shift and scroll your mouse to select a different weapon. And I had to add that all myself. And it was quite hacky because this concept didn't really exist in the main game. I couldn't edit the base game, I could just add on top. So I was I had to. It's like when you select a weapon, you select that offhand weapon, I have to block the scroll wheel and then take over the scroll wheel myself. So I'm sort of blocking some functionality to make mine work. And Minecraft did eventually add dual wielding, but they did it sort of more generally, and they took longer about it because they had to rework the system rather than just adding a layer on top. So they reworked it so that you just have an extra 10th inventory slot, and every item can go in that slot. It's just about sort of, it's almost like, I don't want to say doing it properly, but doing it the sort of, as the maker of the game, you have more opportunity to change. You're more authoritative on how the game works. You can change it and improve it rather than just adding something. So yeah, it's best to do that sort of. Do it right when you've got the ability to.
Because I think the things that you touch on some interesting points, but things about like the planes, that was something that you were kind of working on, and it got popular, and there was a demand from the community, not just the modding community, but I imagine Minecraft community as a whole. And Mojang, the people that make the actual game were like, okay, well there's an interest, so let's pull some resources into making that, and it eventually became a thing, right?
So the official.
Yeah.
Stuff. So almost they favoured server mods, which were a bit more safe.
Sure. Okay.
But they did try and encourage modding.
By that I mean, I can't forgive me for my ignorance, but were planes ever a thing in Minecraft?
Oh, sorry. Yes. So they did eventually add plane. They added flying, a means of flying.
Sure.
It wasn't plane. So I was very much sort of adding a tech side to Minecraft. There are a lot of tech mods out there. They add sort of machines and factories and stuff. But that's not really the direction they wanted to go in. So that's another thing you have to consider, is the theme of your game. Like, they were a fantasy game, we're a tech game, but it doesn't make sense for us to start adding magic to TerraTech, for example. No. We always explain everything through science. We've got those weird sucky inventory things, the SCUs, but they're science, they're not magic. And so you have to fit your theme. So they did eventually add wings. So you pick up this item somewhere and it's wings, you put them on your back, and then off you go. I think it's more like a glider, so you just jump off a ledge, and then you can hold shift to glide, I think. So that's just their take on flying, and it fitted much better into the world. And it was much simpler as well. So to build a plane, there's a lot of crafting steps. You have to build a custom crafting table, and it takes a while to build a plane. And then you have to load it up with fuel, which uses custom inventory, which uses a custom button, and then so there's all these sort of steps to get a plane working, and then you can fly. And the controls are quite complicated. You can roll it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sort of fully featured, but that makes it quite complicated. And so what they've added is, because they know that everybody across like consoles and phones and everybody has to just pick this up and be able to use it. They made it a sort of a pair of wings. So you find that in a chest and you go, okay, that's wings. So what if I take my armor off and put the wings on? That worked. And then you just jump off something and suddenly you're gliding. And it's very simple. You just jump and you're going, and then you can just sort of move around slightly differently. It's making it more user friendly to everyone rather than just a niche
few. Yeah. Good explanation. Cool. Right, we're coming up to the end of time.
Should we crash the game?
Let's crash the game. Thanks for going into that much detail, James. That was super duper. You do it. No, you do it.
Okay.
You do it.
Who added this? Whose mod is this? Misconfiguration.
I'm gonna say Whiteboard. It would be on the.
Right. Well, if this doesn't crash, that would be awful.
Worst game mod ever.
Okay. We're gonna say goodbye and do it at the same time. Or...
Nah, because we can.
We'll just crash the game. Crash the game. Okay.
Do it. Bye game.
3, 2,
1.
Crash.
Nice.
It worked.
Game is broken. Well done, mod. You broke. Game is balked.
Oh, that's still opened. Send that to Jamie.
Does it go to Jamie?
I think so.
Oh, probably K. Someone will get that.
Somebody will get that.
Well done, game.
Right.
Cool. All right. Well, I feel like we've done a good job of showcasing the mods. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I feel like we've gone into a lot of detail. We talked about what is good about the mods, what some of the drawbacks are, and especially around why those sort of features can't be added into TerraTech just yet. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. As always, sorry I've been missing a lot of. Apparently there is a way that you can crash your game. Our game already built in.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's. We'll call it a day there, guys.
Yep.
We'll. Tune back in next Monday. We've got a special festive community showcase next Wednesday, so get your submissions in for that. That'd be super cool.
Can I just submit a Christmas tree?
Do it. Just a tree, yeah, with a cab on it. As long as it's a cab. No, okay.
Just a Christmas tree.
Okay. As long as it's a simple tech that I don't get abuse for being rubbish at. Guys, thanks for stopping by. See you next week. Have a great weekend. Thanks to James. Thanks to Flanning Mod. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to Whiteboard. Thanks to Exxon. Thanks to all the modders that have had such incredible input into this whole process. If you guys liked it, we may try and do something like this again. And we've kind of showed off the majority of the mods.
Make more mods.
So yeah, guys, make more mods so we've got more cool content to show. All right, guys.
See you around.
3, 2, 1. Bye. Harmonize with me. I'm gonna go hi.
I can't do that.
Bye. Let go lower. Bye. Lower. Bye.